Hello,
Welcome.
how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
What's something unreal that has happened since the start of this semester?
I'm headlining DRA Ball.
Oh wow, that's very unexpected.
Would you like to come in?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me in your home.
You're very welcome.
So tell me, how did you come up with the idea of VS?
VS is the event that I always wanted to go to.
And what is VS really all about?
VS is an antidote to the environment that we found was prevailing in St Andrews. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but we felt that there was a big demand for something different.
So tell me, what do we have to look forward to this month?
Well, there's the VS fashion show. There are numerous other venue events, but the fashion show is a real highlight.
And can you tell us anything about the show?
It's bigger, better, there's surprises, things that people have never seen before, and all kinds of drama.
Oh, well, tell me a bit more about the designers.
So we've got 3 Vogue featured designers, one of whom is currently suing Givenchy because they stole her design super recently, and the pieces that we are displaying in our show, I believe, will become evidence in a huge litigation soon.
That's insane. So, are you nervous about the show?
Honestly, not really. I'm just excited, and I can't wait for everybody to see the amazing work that my team has done all year.
Yeah, I can't wait too. If you weren't involved with VS, what do you think you would be doing?
Probably sitting on this couch watching TV and thinking about what I could have been doing with my life for the last 3 years instead of that.
Fair enough. What excites you in fashion?
The idea that so many designers are getting to grips with sustainable concepts and integrating it into something which is inherently so wasteful.
What is your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is the fact that I get to create teams of people who work together on a shared mission and often will bond for life afterwards. It's really rewarding.
And what is the hardest thing about your job?
The hardest thing about my job is that everything depends on me. It's also perhaps the best part, but it's that there's no one else to point the finger at when things don't go to plan.
What is your greatest achievement, would you say?
My greatest achievement is for me, I would say, is the fact that I actually I'm lucky enough to have a sense of well-being and peace most of the time.
And after you graduate, what's going to happen to VS?
VS is going to grow.
If you could do one thing differently, what would that be?
I'm actually pretty happy with everything, so I think nothing.
Good, that's the best way to be. What inspires you in fashion?
I'm just really impressed whenever anybody gets in touch with their inner creativity and comes from a place of authenticity rather than doing what's expected of them.
And what inspires you in the everyday?
Honestly, people who are able to keep smiling even when life is really difficult for them.
Tell me, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Keep smiling no matter what life throws at you.
And tell me, why should we take VS more seriously than the other fashion shows in St Andrews?
I don't think you should. I think you should just come if this is for you, and if it isn't, then cool.
How is this show going to be different to your first show?
It's gonna be bigger, better. Just come and see.
And what advice would you give yourself before you and Dom started VS?
Enjoy the process because you'll get there.
How do you feel VS is perceived?
I think in a similar vein to the way that we internally operate, which is open, inclusive, sustainable, kind of like an organization that cares.
And how do you feel you are perceived?
I would hope that as someone who cares.
So, what is the biggest misconception about fashion shows?
That you have to be really interested in fashion to enjoy one of them.
And what does sustainability mean to you?
For me, it's about reducing waste, reusing resources, and in general, challenging the ideas that we have about the amount of consumption required to live a happy life.
And what have you done within VS in terms of sustainability?
So in this year's show, we're heavily featuring a lot of secondhand collections because we're trying to raise awareness and encourage people to this whole enormous market of secondhand clothing.
That's great.
Would you like to have some tea?
I'd love some tea, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, what are throwbacks?
Throwbacks are extremely fun. Get down to one.
Just gonna pop this down. Why did you see throwbacks as something that St. Andrew's nightlife needed?
I was always super passionate about a certain type of music and I wasn't able to express that because I'm supposed to be this cool VS guy. So essentially the things that I was screaming my head off to in the shower started picking up a few compliments and I realized that maybe there was other people out there like me and there seems to be.
And what is House Party? I can see it behind you.
House Party is the latest addition to the projects. It is, imagine an EDM festival, but in indoor venues in St. Andrews. We hire in these like amazing sound systems, we get this staging, this lighting, and it's almost like attending a concert, but we're bringing it right to your doorstep.
And how is House Party any different from your other projects?
House Party is specifically serving a group of people who are missing an experience here that is really, really rare to get or that you have to get in other cities, whereas the other projects are normally differentiated because of the kind of music that they play.
Tell me, what was an iconic moment during one of your launches?
We always say that if something hasn't gone drastically wrong on the day, then it's not really a launch or an event. And for the very first ever VS event, our DJ was sick and our sound system was not in place 1 hour before the thing was supposed to start.
Oh, wow. And can you tell us, are there any other projects underway?
Yes, my Glasgow real estate company is doing some really interesting stuff. And I hope to bring more and more health and well-being projects to the world in the next 12, 18 months.
So what have you planned for the rest of semester?
I'm enjoying it to the max. These 3 events are going to do the absolute most that they can, and the DRA ball opportunity is just going to be a blast.
And why should we be excited about what's coming next?
I mean, you don't have to be, but if you happen to enjoy any of those kinds of music, any of these kinds of fashion, then I'm sure we'll cross paths at one point.
And how do you think St. Andrews has changed and been affected by these new projects?
I would say the biggest difference is that after our first year VS show, for example, a lot of the kids came up afterwards, the models, and they were talking about how they've made friends for life or how they've gained a certain level of confidence or it's changed the trajectory of their university experience. And so I would hope that the impact that these things have is that people are able to bond and have a better time at uni.
Well, thank you so much. Do you have any final words for your competitors?
If you love what you're doing, then keep doing it, like whatever. And also if you're ever interested in joining any of these projects, it's probably better to work together than against each other. So
Well, thank you once again. Have a lovely day.
you too.